The way that architecture is represented in children's books is interesting to me and has been of huge influence in my life. I've always looked at, when I was a child, I was more interested in the way that the castle was drawn or the witch's house was drawn than I was in, The Prince and the Princess. There is a fantastic sort of theatricality to evil architecture in books. It's a lot more fun for me to draw something that has cracks in it and has failings and so on, especially when I'm drawing with a dip pen and ink that lends itself very much to representations of fissures and of errors and of decay. Tom Jones has so many different settings and scenes that would have lent themselves to being illustrated. The variety from lugubrious London prison to shabby inn full of soldiers in the middle of a forest to grand country house setting. I mean, there are so many different locations within it that it has a very, very filmic quality to it. The question for me was to find the setting that most exemplified or stood out for me as representative of the narrative, but also as something that would lend itself to a very good image. The Gatehouse prison, which is where Tom Jones is incarcerated towards the end of the book, once he's fought a duel, was a real prison that was demolished in the late 18th century, but when the story was set, it was still around as a very odd little medieval relic of the past. So I went for the Gatehouse prison, and when I started to look at the images of it, it didn't look much like a prison. It could have been an inn, really, from the illustrations. And so I started to play around with images of prisons designed for one person, and I hammed it up in a Piranesi fashion. A lot of the source material that I was looking at was theatrical design, stage designs. Tom Jones was being written at the time of the Beggar's Opera, and there is a series of conventions of how you represent prisons, prison scenes, and so I wanted to sort of tap into that, do a little bit of research, and came up with something that reflected a bit of Piranesi, but also Hogarth and other English illustrators at the time. William Kent is also someone that designed prison-like, grotto-like environments. I'm very interested in the relationship between architecture and humans and the way that we create buildings that mirror us or that oppress us or that represent us in various fashions. And so the image of the building that I wanted to create had to have human qualities to it. It had to be a little bit like a person. It had to be a building with personality because of the empathy that we have for Tom Jones in the moment of his incarceration. It all gets rather operatic at that point. And so the building that I designed for it, I wanted to capture that sense of drama and opera.